You're watching Every Days and Saturdays, USCC Veterans. Let's go, baby. And here's your host, Brian. What up, friends and fam? What's going on? Welcome to another great day, another great interview. What are you guys doing today? I'm starting off drinking some good old Cash coffee. Go get yourself some Cash coffee. This one's the Mean Gene flavor. And let me tell you, it's got some punch to it. That's why they call it the Mean Gene. But that's some great coffee. I will be putting the link in the description of the show, along with other great links. But I'm excited for my next guest. My next guest spent 31 years in the Army. He wasn't ready to be a Marine yet, and that's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I'm sure we'll get to hear why he decided he wasn't ready to be a Marine yet. But he just not just retired from the Army, but he also became an author, and he's out there helping our fellow veterans. Before we bring him on, got a little intro. Let's play it up.
Every day, 22 veterans and their loved ones lose their lives to the battle within, a fight invisible but deadly. For those who face the horrors of war and the isolation of coming home, this book is more than words. It's a lifeline, a tool to navigate the darkest moments. Author William A. Stevens Jr. opens Pandora's box, exposing the harsh truth of trauma, healing, and redemption. This is also a father's apology, a heartfelt letter to his daughter, a two-time world champion, for the moments lost while trapped in his own pain. Stevens is the voice for those who feel voiceless, writing to inspire, to heal, and to give hope that change is possible. Join him on this journey of survival, forgiveness, and finding peace. The Broken Mirror, available now on Amazon.
And with us now, we got retired Army William Stevens. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. How you doing, Brian? Everybody.
Hey.
My name is William Stevens, and I guess the dog is now barking. Oh, well, never thought that was going to happen. But anyways, it's like kids in the background.
Right on cue.
Yeah, right on cue. The dog is like barking. There's nothing outside. So anyways, correction. I have 20 years in the Army, and I have 16 years in the civilian government as a security specialist.
All right. My bad.
So almost 38 years of government service. So,
all right. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I read that wrong somewhere. So sorry.
No problem, man.
Good way. Nice to get me corrected, though. All right, man. Well, hey, now it's all about you, and we're going to get to learn all about you, where you grew up, and what made you decide to end up joining the Army, and you end up making a career out of it. So, what made you decide to stay the length of it, and talk about how retirement life is treating you. And obviously you've written 2 great books. Let's talk about those and what the future looks like for you. All right, man, the show's all yours.
Hey, thank you. First of all, thank everyone for their service. Anyone, Brian, thank you for your service. I salute you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
So, I'm originally born and raised from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Basically was a skater kid in high school, and had a bad upbringing, I guess you could say. My friends used to call my family the Monsters. My sister was kind of like, I talk about in the first book about a little bit, but I have to really say this, like, my sister, she was kind of like mentally retarded. I don't want to say what that is now. Like, it's not really right. My father was an alcoholic and a drunk. My mom, she was just obese. And me, I was just like the clueless kid that rode the skateboard. So, and never met my grandparents, but I heard that my grandfather was an engineer on the railroad, and he used to beat my father. So the trend came with him. So after being beaten, watching my mom get hit with frying pans and having my sister sing all the time upstairs like a dead cow, I kind of said, "Look, I'm about to graduate from high school," which I couldn't even believe I was going to graduate because like I've never read a book from cover to cover ever in my entire life. So basically, it was all like art classes and stupid stuff, and I graduated from the class of 1988, Carlisle Senior High School, and said, "You know what? I was kind of like hooking up with a girl. Her dad was a colonel in the army, and he was like, maybe you should join the army." And I'm like, "No, hell no, that ain't happening." Look in the Marine Corps. I was too dumb for that. Took the ASVAB and scored very, very low. Like, I mean, like math was not my thing, and I was like, the recruiter's like, "I got a perfect job for you. They make you field artillery." And I was like, "What is that?" He showed me this video of like in the lake and the guns firing over the lake and all that. Man, it like blew my
Inspired
head.
you,
I was like,
huh?
"Oh man, I want to be field artillery. I want to be." He's like, "You want to be a red leg?" So I joined the field artillery. I mean, I joined the army and went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and that was the first time I ever flew. Like my parents didn't have a car, so that was the first time I flew in an airplane. And I didn't fly in a big airplane. I flew in a crop duster to Oklahoma from Pennsylvania, and it was very scary because like turbulence and all that. And then we landed, and I met my first person in the army, a corporal from you know depths or whatever it's called, like where they bring you in.
MEPS,
And
yeah.
I didn't know there were any other ranks except for my recruiters. They were like sixes and sevens and stuff, but they were told me, "Oh, you'll never see those guys." So I saw all these corporals, and they were like drill sergeants. And then we met the drill sergeant, and I was like, "Oh my god!" We're sitting on the bus, and the drill sergeant's talking, and he's like, "I'm gonna read your name off." And I was in the back talking, and he called my name like 3 times, and he's like, "Steven, here I'm gonna be a star private." And I'm like, "Star private? What the hell is a star private?" Well, I was the guy that put all the numbers on the boots and on the helmets and all that stuff because I had an attitude problem, and they fixed that quick. So
They gave you a TA's job, huh?
yeah, basic training AIT at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, called OSET, um, on station unit training. Cohort. We all went to Germany together. I thought it was funny because like I didn't take the bonus. They were like, "Oh, station of choice. Go to Europe. Go to Europe. Go to Germany." So went to Germany, and it was funny because like I got off the airplane. That was the first time I flew overseas. That was scary. We got to Germany, and it was funny because like I didn't speak German or anything, and we got on the buses, and I kept seeing on spot and in spot, like enter and exit. Didn't know what that was. I was like, "Damn, that's a big city. Holy crap, that's a big city. Like, when are we ever going to get out of this city?" And then somebody was like, "No, that means exit and enter." It's like, definitely field artillery. So, anyways, uh, 19 years old. It's like 89. I go to Germany. We go to like a 21st Displacement Detachment in Nuremberg, no, in Stuttgart, Germany, or something like that. And I remember all my cohort buddies were there, and they told us, "Get in there and get on these checkers." And we were standing on these black and red checkers. And the guy came out and was like, "Anybody standing on a black checker? You're going to Germany. Anyone standing on the red checker? You're going to Turkey." I was like looking down. I was like, "Damn, thank God I'm on a black one because I don't want to go to Turkey." And it's
Nah.
funny because through my career, I never saw any of those people wearing the red checkers ever again. But the ones on the black, I've always seen them through deployments and stuff. It was crazy. So uh, we didn't really get a lot of news. Like I was the commander's driver. I was just a dumb private. Like they were like, "Steven, you look spit shine. We're gonna make you the battery commander's driver." So they made me the battery commander's driver, and we did a lot of cool stuff. Did like what are they called? Hornsfeld and what the hell are they called? Like real weird training things, big long ones out. You're out like for months. Be like, wow, man. Anyways, so then uh, I'm just gonna speed it up. I really didn't have field artillery training, and they put me on this thing called special weapons, and that's where like they granted me a top secret security clearance.
Oh,
Hell, I didn't
shit.
even know what that was. All I know is it's special weapons. There was like four deuce and a half, four trucks, and they had like a nuclear missile in the middle or whatever it was. It's called a copperhead, and you put like a warhead on it or something. But you had the privates that had the time and code switches and all that. I don't know if I'm going to disclose it, but it's a Cold War era, so I can say whatever I want. But I was one of the idiots on the outside that stood outside the truck going, "You cannot come in this area." So I consider myself as a special um, specialist. Like I always had the big head, like, "Oh, you can't touch me." But then they made me like the time and code switch guy, where you could like control everything. And then we found out some stuff was going
Man,
on in the
you
Middle
get to
East.
push the big red button or what?
So a copperhead has two times and three code switches, and they load it in. And like I was trying to figure out why these guys were standing like with 100-foot lanyard when they fire a nuke round. They told us like when they fire, the whole area is like nuclear is obliterated. So is the gun and the crew. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, thanks for being a special weapons. We're now going to put you on a suicide mission as well. So,
Sheesh.
but going forward from what is it? The day after Christmas on so the war was so 90, 90, 90, 1990. We got our green Christmas stockings, and the commander told us in a week you're going to be sitting at the port in Saudi Arabia. We're like, what? So
So
there we
what?
go.
January time frame?
No, December. So
So
basically,
they
yeah.
ended.
So
Okay.
yeah, just right at the end of December, we just started deploying. Like it was so crazy because like we weren't trained as a unit. Like what were we doing? You know. So we were at the port for about 2 weeks. We loaded up our equipment, and then we went forward with it. It was First Armor Division, 7 Corps, and we seen everybody like staging and stuff. And our commander was like, we're on low boys, and we're just going and going and going and going. And as a private, they don't tell you where you're going, but I eventually found out we were past the LD. Like we were like absolutely looking at the Republican Guard. Like our
Wow.
forward observers could look about a mile away and see probably the whites of the eyes of the freaking Republican Guard. They were dug in, and we were dug in. They didn't know we were there. We didn't do really training. I was just a private. I dug foxholes. They were like, "You're gonna need this." I'm like, "What do you mean we're gonna need this?" They're like, "Well, our mission is to take incoming and direct fire for the first Armor Division, the whole entire 7 Corps when they go over the LD." We didn't know what I didn't even know what the LD was. All they were telling us was when it happens, it's going to happen. So,
You'll know.
so December 26th, all the way to May 2nd, 91. I
Merry
was there.
Christmas, man. Sheesh.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year. And before, during, and after the storm, I didn't even know what app Provide Comfort was all about. It was just like, but I'm going to basically tell you, it was not helping those people. It was packing all your stuff up, guarding wood out in the desert, and then burning stuff, burning crap, uh, emptying porta potties and all that crap, and making sure everything was staged because we left all that stuff there. You
Wow.
know, they don't talk about that, but we left all that stuff there. Like, we don't even think we brought our guns back. Really. I think we fell on new camouflage guns because, like, what the hell are we going to do with the sand colored guns? You know? But we were in camouflage uniforms. We didn't have the stuff that you have right there. We didn't get that until we got on an airplane flying back to show us we were American heroes. Because I heard that the Republican Guard, they hated their uniform. They hated the
Wow.
BDU camouflage uniform. They feared us. So, anyways, so almost having my life taken from a T-72 Russian, not an Iraqi because it's Russian owned. I always remember looking at those little cards, you know, them little smart cards that talk about Russian weapons and stuff. You ever get
Mm-hmm.
those where you had to study them? Yeah, well, I knew exactly what it was when it came over the berm firing at our position. So all I know is that kind of like set the stone in my head. Like, maybe I want to stay a couple more times. You know, my life just flashed right in front of my eyes, and why do I want to get out and not have a job? So I went to Fort Carson. I stayed there 4 years, and then I went to the entire time I had a top secret security clearance. Didn't even know it. Didn't even know what it was. Went to Fort Carson for 4 years. Uh, went to Korea. Went back to Fort Carson. Went to Korea. Lost a woman of my life. Wanted to marry her, but I guess handbags were more important. And
Mm.
buying her stuff from Korea, and she's sleeping with all my friends back in Colorado. So then
Uh,
they sent me to, and
Down
this is
Jody,
like,
huh?
yeah, well, when you're in Colorado, you do certain like desert spring operations and stuff. So you're going to Kuwait and you're training like Saudis and all that. It's funny because they're like, you're going to go trade in the Kuwaiti army. So we go out in the desert. They have all their vehicles there. They stage them and they leave. And we're like, what's going on? Up there on vacation, like they're on holiday. So you're just going to be out here. So I was like, what the hell, man? But I've done about
Joke's always on us.
probably in my career, I've done about 8 deployments to Kuwait, and
Wow.
yeah. So,
Where like
but
Doha?
and
Were you guys, or was it different areas? Camp Doha, or
no,
was
we
it
did the
different?
FOBs. Well, Doha was a joke. That's just where everybody went for the burger
That's like
bar.
the food and
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
So yeah, because we stayed there in the open barracks. Like we didn't have like you know. We did some crazy stuff. But between my time at Fort Carson and then I went to Fort Lewis, we did a deployment to Kuwait again, and then we did some stuff on the border of Iraq. And that's where I have been heavy the whole time, artillery, like howitzers. And then we switched and went light. And I was like, oh, hell no, 198. I'm not built for this stuff. But I got in an altercation with a platoon sergeant. I was a staff sergeant, and I didn't like. He was a Hispanic guy. He had like this accent, and I was always called a "mother." So in front of the soldiers. So I didn't. Let's just say I took. It's called a material lifting bar off the spade, and kind of let's say assault with a deadly weapon. So immediately was standing in front of the first sergeant, and I knew my career was over. Like here I am doing everything I can to make this sergeant first class list. And I knew that they were out for me. I knew that they were out for me. They knew that
What
I
rank are
had like
you
a
at this
problem.
point in time?
Staff sergeant.
Stats are okay.
Yeah. So probably how many years is that? I made sergeant first class in 10 years. So probably 9 years into my career.
Is that E6
And
in the Army?
yeah,
E6?
E6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
staff sergeant. Yeah. So because 7 is like the gunny.
Right.
But I was the gunny because as a staff sergeant, you can be the gunnery sergeant. And I didn't. I was in the other platoon, and I didn't get along with this guy. This
You're the
guy,
acting
like,
gunny.
I was the gunny. I was the gunnery sergeant. So I was sitting in the connex helping the soldiers clean the tools and stuff. And this guy came in and started like provoking me. And let's just say he provoked too much because I told him, I said, this MF stuff is going to stop because you're not going to embarrass me in front of the soldiers. So basically, my career had ended. Like I was I don't know what they call it in the Marine Corps, NCOER, non-commissioned officer evaluation report. Your evaluation when you're an NCO or non-commissioned officer. They wrote it up for like relief of cause, and I didn't even see the sergeant major. Like they just like outed me from the battalion and sent me to First Corps. And First Corps was like where all the I want to call it ash and trash went. It was like the
The
admin
sandbaggers.
type, all the broken people.
Yeah.
So they sent me along with my
Sick, lame, and
NCOER. They
lazy is
sent
what they
me.
call it in the Marine Corps. Sick, lame, and lazy.
Yeah, so they gave me what is it? Article 15, 15 and 15, extra duty, 15 days restriction without the loss of rank. But they put on my NCOER that I should not get like promoted to
So you
E7.
got like a
Like
non-judicial punishment.
yeah, yeah. So it kind of like this, but
NJP.
I got oust. I was like an outcast in my battalion, and you know what? I loved it. I actually, I went there, and it was funny because like the sergeant major from the post sergeant major sat me down. And he's like, "Look, we don't know if your career is going anywhere or not, but we're gonna make you like a tour guide at Fort Lewis Military Museum." And I'm like, "What?" So I'm hardcore, man. Like I'm hardcore. I've already got like 3 combat tours under my belt, and I go there, and they're like, "Steven, come on out here and get PT." And I'm like looking at people with cast and crutches and all this, and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me, man." And they were like, "Stevens, you will never get PT ever again in our unit." because I like broke them off. And people were crying and stuff. But so yeah, I thought being working at the museum would be a joke, man. But like learning all the artifacts, learning everything that's in the museum, preparation, painting, everything you had to do. I had like a great group of people that were working with me. We're all broke. I was mentally broke. The other ones had like casts and all that stuff. But it was funny because we all started out in like uniform, like, in BDUs. And I changed that. I was like, look, these have the most prestigious people coming in, veterans, freaking World War II, Vietnam veterans, people that served with, blah, blah, blah. And, uh, and it's funny because I don't know if you know who Audie Murphy is. Remember Audie Murphy? Audie Murphy was the most decorated soldier to live. So I was inducted in '97. I forgot to say that. I was inducted to Audie Murphy in 1997. Like that.
Oh no
It's almost
shit.
like the Medal of Honor on your uniform, but it's not. It's a prestigious leadership, So I'm in this thing and I'm thinking, oh man, they're gonna take my Audie Murphy away from me and all this. So like,
It's a patch, another patch you guys get to wear as
no, it's a
uniform? Or
medallion
no?
that hangs around your greens.
Oh no
Like
shit.
if you
Okay.
wear your black uniform, you would wear like certain organizations, like certain branches have you inducted into certain I don't want to say Greek gods, but like Order of Saint Barbara, Order of Saint Mary, stuff like that. You wear these medallions, and I had the Audie Murphy, Sergeant Audie Murphy Club Prestigious Leadership Award, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing working in a museum, man?
I swear to
So,
God, the Army is very much like the Boy Scouts.
yeah, and it's funny because like
There's so many things.
I met my Raider because like I changed the whole uniform. We are all wearing Class A's and stuff like B's. We would wear B's with ribbons and stuff, and they were like, "Oh man, we don't want to do that." But we never had. While I was there, I believe the 2 years I was there, the year or 2 years I was there, we never had one complaint. We were very professional.
You never
Everybody
had
gave us
one what?
comments.
You kind of
What?
you said you never what? You never had one what?
Not one comment, not one
Oh, not
bad
one.
comment
Oh,
ever.
back from gotcha.
Every veteran respected us, and it was long hours, and you had to know all the exhibits and stuff because like you guided people through, or you just stood there and watched, and then we made it all animated. But I met my Raider. It was funny. I met my Raider. He was artillery, like a colonel, because like I guess he was. I don't know. He didn't have a job either. So we sat down. He's like, "There's a time in your career when you're hardcore, and they have to like pull you away, and you just have to watch all the others advance past you." And I'm like, "You think this is going to hinder my career?" He goes, "Well, what you did in your unit hindered you." He said that if that NCOER makes it to the board, you're done. But he goes, "I'm going to give you a top rating. You're the guy." And I'm like, "Is this going to go to the board?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And I'm like, "Okay." So um, I forget when the promotion thing came out, but like it was funny because I made the list. I made the list. I was number 62 in the entire Army and field artillery staff sergeants that made it. Number 62.
Shit.
Like
Well, damn.
I had never been looked at ever. This is my first look. And I made it. And you should have seen, like I wrote in my book, you should have seen these guys in the other battalion. No one in the battalion made it. Nobody in the whole battalion made it. I'm the only
Oh,
one.
they
And they
were
ousted
fucking.
me.
Oh yeah, that definitely
Oh,
was like.
yeah. I wanted to swear. But anyways, yeah. Those guys were like, "Oh, we got to pull him from the list." And then I did the research. I reached out to one of my buddies who is very high up in the military. And he said that um, they did not submit my NCOER for the record because it was poorly written.
Hmm.
So you learn one thing now that they have doctrine for how to learn and write, NCOERs and stuff. These guys didn't know how to write. And when I looked at my NCOER, it was really blank. And I didn't even sign it. I was like, hell no, I ain't signing that, man. You got to try to set me up for failure. But yeah, so I kind of try to let all that stuff go away because they sent me to Fort Riley, and they made me a platoon sergeant there, and they were like, "Damn, brand new sergeant first class coming in here, man." I had no family, I had no girlfriend. Well, I was a killer, man. I was like, I'm getting even with that. So I bounced around to different batteries because like I went to some more deployments. I was in Alpha Battery. It was funny because like the guys in Alpha Battery, they knew exactly what's going on because like when 9/11 hit, my whole platoon was in the day room. We were doing training, some kind of medical training, and somebody turned on the TV and the Twin Towers were going down, and I was like, this is not good. And then we had a big meeting, and they were like, look, you guys are gonna have to start training. It's like thinking, bam, every platoon sergeant wants to take his soldiers to combat. This is it. But I started having like soldiers come out and be like smoking marijuana, getting into all kinds of altercations. They were trying to swing the other way and coming out and saying that they're coming out of the closet. And I was like, okay, I accept that. We'll take you to combat. And then when you come back, we'll just throw you out. You could do that back then. But
Right.
they had other plans for me. So I heard there was a new platoon sergeant coming in, but he had not been promoted yet. So I don't know how he knew he was getting promoted. But we deployed. We deployed to Kuwait, and every time I went to Kuwait, we didn't stay like at Doha. We went to the FOBs, forward operating bases out like Pennsylvania, New York,
I was
all
at
the
Camp
other ones.
Commando. Yeah, I was at Camp Commando.
Liberty, all these different ones, man. I have
Yeah,
so many.
Coyote.
I have so many
Yep.
camps. I can't even count them. It's like
Yeah.
National Training Center. I think I've been to National Training Center 13 times, man. When I was sleeping in a pup tent, all the way to, hey, Sarge, you can sleep in the trailer. I was like, no, I'll sleep in a pup tent with my troops. But, anyways, got in an altercation with a soldier from another color. And while I was in Korea, I learned close quarters combat. So like these are like deadly hands. So soldier took a swing at me. I hit him with a larynx shot in the tent. Actually, I think it was in the dining facility because all the battalion staff was there, and so everybody witnessed it. So they were like, ching, we're taking you from platoon sergeant position. And it was like, you gotta go see the sergeant major. I'm like, damn, dude, how many times is this gonna happen to me in my life, dude? So they were like, guess what? You have been relieved at your duties as platoon sergeant, but we're not going to do that to you. We're going to put you in this position where we think that you fit the most. So I met this old dude, raggedy guy. He's staff sergeant, probably in the Army for like 20 years. He was at a retention control point. He was a retention guy. So he sat me down. He's like, look, Sergeant Major wants you to retire. Man, that's what I was like, are you kidding me? Are you shitting me? We're getting ready to go to combat. This platoon doesn't have a platoon sergeant. They were like, oh, yeah, they do. The guy that just made E7. I was like, that guy from the beginning, that I was like, oh, they had him groomed down. They're like, yeah, we knew that you were going to snap once in a while. So our major came in, sat me down. He was like, look, here's your computer. Here's they gave me like a briefcase, like a protective briefcase. And computer in there, gave me a list of soldiers. He's like, soldiers are only numbers. He's like, we must make numbers. So I was like, okay. You have to sell a product. Like the Army, you have to sell a product. So, well, it was a long journey up to Iraq, believe me. And I was scared because like I was in the middle of a driver, the deuce and a half or a 5-ton, and the other guy who was asleep the whole way. And I was holding the 249. I'm like, what the hell am I? Sergeant first class holding the 249 all the way up to Iraq. We didn't know who the enemy was. We had people coming in and asking us for MREs and stuff like that all the time. We were just being jerks. People try to shoot themselves in the toe on the way there and stuff. It was so funny, man. People try to get out of that deployment. So,
wow.
but even when we stopped, I was like, hey, you ever think about joining staying in the Army and shit? They were like, Smoke, get the hell out of here, man. Like, we don't want to talk to you. Yeah, it was hard, man, because like they were like, you got to make mission and stuff like that, and I'm like, the first month went by, the first quarter went by, or the first you have 4 quarters. The first quarter went by, man. I ain't really asked anybody. Nobody liked me. I didn't like nobody. And Sergeant Major's like, you're gonna have to come up with a new system. You're gonna fail the battalion mission. And I was like, you just kicked me out for being a platoon sergeant, and now you want me to like make your mission for your unit, man. So I was like, okay, this could be good, I could make this successful and laugh at them, And that's what I did. I put my life on the line every day and went to like a couple of 30, 40 miles a day on convoys and went to go talk to these guys called career counselors. And they're the ones that like molded me and stuff because I didn't have protection, whatever training or whatever it was. And man, I go up in there with my combat patch on and shit, and they were like, why are you battalion retention? And so it's a long story. So I just need your training. So they trained me, And first quarter, I failed. Second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, we blew the mission like 159%. Like I ordered stuff for the MWR. Like I used their funds to get coins and hats and flags and all this. And I went to the Iraqi contractors. Well, I won't say Iraqi contractors, like Turkish guys and stuff. They like build an internet cafe. And I was like, man, I need an office, man. So they're like, the only thing we got is this thing with a hole in the side of it. And I was like, that's cool, man. Run the internet through there. And I set up a bombed up desk and some plants and stuff from like the palace that was outside where we were at. We were in the Al Mansur district in downtown Baghdad. It was a forehead palace where Saddam had a lot of his stuff, but the Air Force was nice enough to send a bomb, a buster bunker through it and shoot it out the side. So that palace was gone. And we were all running around in that, but like I had set up an office outside that, and I made this thing with the soldiers where like I would talk to them and like, look, you have to pay for the internet. They had to make you pay for the like you had to like I don't know how it was, but like the contractor people would make you pay to get on the internet. It was crazy. So I had the internet, so I would bring soldiers in and be like, look, we're gonna sit down with your family. We're gonna discuss these. There were no options, none. It was like, oh, I'm field artillery. I want to be a linguist, or I want to be, well, you speak Spanish, so we'll try, And then they came out with a $20,000 reenlistment bonus. Man, I was racking them in like, you know. And
Oh
then I figured
yeah,
out soldiers
big
are not
little bit of
numbers.
money, and they blow that shit quick.
Yeah, man. So I consider soldiers not as numbers. So I just started reenlisting soldiers and sitting down and talking to them. When I would go to dime facility, they would run away. And then I was like, you know what? And then I had to go to like battalion staff. So I consider myself as an advisor. I call myself an advisor to the commander and the sergeant major because like they would laugh at me at battalion staff. They'd be like, you ain't making mission. And then when I started making mission, it was kind of like, yeah, Steve is doing the right thing. It was almost, I don't want to say, like this, but they were all my knob and they were all over me. And they were like, hey, we got these soldiers. We got these soldiers. You got these soldiers. And, when it came to time, my unit commander sat me down. He's like, "Look, you did a great job. I put my life on the line and saved some soldiers' life during like a firefight. I was on the QRF and went after them, and they're like, man, you like for a Bronze Star, you're set for a Bronze Star." And I was like, "Shit, you never give me a Bronze Star?" Okay, we sat down, we wrote it up, looked good. Uh, Came to battalion formation. We're all standing there. I remember looking. I was the last one because I was S. Stevens, and I was looking down at them all, and they were coming down and looking at the awards clerk, and all the Bronze Stars were gone, and there's nothing but like this big red felt thing covered up, and uh, they excused all them, and they called me out in front of the battalion commander. I mean the brigade commander, and he goes, they read like this award thing and said, the coveted Bulldog belt buckle is presented to, and I'm like, belt buckle? I'm thinking to myself, belt buckle? What the hell? For like my retention, this is my retention award and stuff. And then they were like, oh, you'll get an MSM when you deploy back to the United States and go, wherever you're going. So I was like, probably going to be stuck in this unit as a battalion retention guy because my career is over with, Chief. Because like the sergeant major gave me like a 2 block. You can get like a 1, 2. You in my level, you only get ones. When you start getting 2s and 3s, your career is over. Like master sergeant is not looking good in my book. So even though I made mission and blew like retention, like we had the best retention in the whole country. Like I was reenlisting people like it was
Well,
man
that
like
twenty
flies
thousand
on.
dollars might have had a little bit to help, man. Shit.
Oh yeah, and then we would reenlist people at the Cross Sabers in Iraq, the famous place where everybody,
Yeah. Yep.
But it was cool, man. I mean, everything was cool, and then I got orders. I couldn't believe it. I got orders. We're at the end now. I got orders to go to New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. So I'm from Carlisle. New Cumberland's like 20 miles away. I'm like, why in the hell are they saying field artillery guy? So I found out I was going to be an OC, observer controller trainer, OCT, like an advisor to like reserve and National Guard units. So I was like, cool, and I got to go there. And believe me, I thought it was cool at first, but when you have like 50 other sergeant first class, they're all the same rank, don't ask them to do shit for you. Don't. Because everybody's competing for the next rank there. And if you talk shit about them, you're done. So if you're not used to riding in vehicles with people 60 miles one way and listening to these people talk about how good they are in their careers and all this, that's what it was, man. I just kept my mouth shut. But it was kind of cool because I didn't get to go out and do evaluations. Our artillery units, they put me on a battalion staff. So like I learned S3 because I was already battle staff qualified because I went to school as a 7, like on core line courses and stuff. And so I was the kind of like the ops. I was in ops writing orders but I think the jump I got was where they made me like the security specialist, like the security S2 guy for Intel. So we had to brief the units like on the op order and all that, like and it was cool because like, and eventually I got to go out on the lane and work with the units and all that stuff. But like, um, I think where it really hindered my career is where they volunteered me to go to Iraq. So I'm engaged to be married. Um, we already lost. My ex-wife already had a miscarriage while I was there, but the command was like the mission must continue. Go home and kiss her and say goodbye, and so they volunteered me to go to Iraq, and we were supposed to go there to evaluate training. So our MTEL, like mission essential task listing, was like sunglasses and walkie-talkies. We had no weapons in our unit at all. So we're writing our death letters, like I wrote in my book. We're writing our death letters. I'm sitting with 5 other people that don't even like me because we're on all different teams. It took one person from 5 teams. So we had a major, a captain, and 3 E7 sergeant first classes, and we all hated each other. And we're all going to go and do this collective training. And we found out when we got to Kuwait, we were like the laughing stocks because we didn't have no weapons. We were kind of like Candy Camera, but we didn't have no cameras. We just had this and pencils and stuff. And even didn't have no laptops, like nothing. We weren't allowed to take none of that stuff in the theater with us. So we flew up with 100. We flew up with the 101st Airborne
You at least
Division
have a
Commander in
pencil or
General.
something, bro?
Yeah, man. So when we go through the chow line to clear weapons, we were like getting frisked. It was so funny because like we were just like laughing stocks. And like I remember while I was there, some guys from the special ops unit, special forces units got us the. Have you ever seen the little patch? It's like it's kind of like a fun meter. Have you seen the fun meter patch? It's like a pad. They're like you could put it. We had the Velcro, so they're like here you can Velcro this, and it was in color, and it had like I want to say green, yellow, and red with an arrow, kind of like fun meter. It was in the red. So they were like, hey, you can wear these. We're like, nah, this is a joke. So they were like making fun of us. So we went up and we found out when we got up there that we would be collecting classified data to make a handbook for the Army. So basically, we were told we would be working for the Center of Army Lessons Learned out of Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, because that's where we were at our hotel before we left. And we did not interact with any of them. And so we collected the data. We fell on some units. I do have to point out the Puerto Rican National Guard because, like, when they were at Fort Dix, none of them spoke English. No speak English, and that's why we had Hispanic guy with us because they were like, you're gonna be falling on units that you ran into situations with. But like when we got there, they all spoke English. Every one of them spoke English because like they had got attacked the day before, and they were like, we're glad you're here. But they already have a bounty on your head. They know you're here and all that. So it's like, they're like, we know this is going to be hard. Like we had no weapons. So they gave us like firearms and weapons and gun trucks. And man, they would just like blanketed us. But it was weird because like I went into this briefing tent. There was no AC. And back then, like they started having like almost like the bomb suits. The gunners were wearing like bomb suits and the shields were like this thick. And I remember sitting there in the briefing room waiting for the commander of the Puerto Rican National Guard to come in to brief us. And there was this guy sitting in there with a neck brace on, and the shield was on the table. And I'm like, what is this, a prop or something? What is this shit, a prop? And they came in and they told us, like, this guy had just got attacked. Like, like they showed us these pamphlets, flyers, like propaganda flyers that, like, they have numbers on them, like where the weak points are, where they can fire at you. So there's I want to say a 50 caliber round. What is that? 50 caliber round.
Cal, yeah. Mm-hmm.
50 cal round stuck in the shield on the table. It didn't penetrate, but it hit him enough to snap his neck back and hurt his neck and gave him whiplash. That's why he's sitting there, because he tells us the story of what happened. And they're like, well, this is one of the things you're going to do to try to eliminate what's going on. So we were trying to go with their tactics every day, and they kept adjusting to our tactics. So we had to make a handbook where we used all these different tactics. And then part of that handbook, we had to lay out, like, there were a lot of incidents where soldiers would get killed or unalived with the wrong weapon system on their vehicle. Like the components weren't complete. So when they did when they did the investigations to get the family the money and stuff, they kind of like were like, nope, you didn't qualify, even though the soldier was killed. The unit failed as leadership because like the T&E mechanism, you know what I'm saying? The T&E mechanism was not mounted on a system that could have kept that soldier alive. I'm like, he got hit in the head, he got shot in the face, or shot in the neck. Well, they didn't have the neck pad on. So we did all that stuff in the handbook. We went to their Connex and it was like, look, lay out every nut, bolt, screw, and we took pictures of it. And this book is on the Center of Army Lessons Learned. I'll send you a copy of it so that you can take a peek at it so people don't think I'm lying. But I'm considered as one of 5 contributing authors for that book. Most requested book in the Army in 2006. It's the Security Forces Handbook 0622. That was the manual it was. And then they declassified it. So we get all the information. We go back to Kansas. We're sitting in a hotel room because like there's all these meetings going on, and we're not allowed to go into meetings because like the boardroom is, but it's all civilian people. So we're sitting out in the lobby talking classified information, and these people are asking like, "What are we doing?" And our major is writing on the board the classified stuff, you know. And then we go to Fort Leavenworth, and they declassify everything, and we're like, "You're saying we had to like keep this with us every time we went somewhere, like, restaurant, we had to make sure it was in the lockbox and all that stuff." Stupid. So we wrote the handbook, and I thought that was pretty cool. So then I came back. Damn, sweat. Yeah. Okay, almost done. But came back. Nobody from our unit welcomed us back except for our commander. He's a very friendly, family-oriented guy. I respect him very much. Our sergeant major, I called him a piece of crap in my new book. He gave me a 2 on my NCOER because of my attitude and said that I have mental issues. So I'm thinking, man, I went there and this is my punch ticket for Master Sergeant. So I sat down with my wife now. We got married and before I left, and she's a psych nurse. It was a psych nurse. I'm not with her no more, but she said, maybe you need to go get evaluated. You have some issues. Because we have we have another child or something, because she wasn't pregnant yet, but we have another child, you might take this out, So I went to Walter Reed and got evaluated. They accepted me to the Wounded Warrior Transition Unit, and I went back to my unit with orders, and my sergeant major was livid. He was like, what the, oh, you'll never make it in the Army. You're giving your career up, and as long as I'm in the Army, you're never going to make Master Sergeant. I'm like, well, hell, I'm about to sign the dotted line. My whole career is over with. At least I'm getting out and going to live the life, and start a family. Because I've been 19 years, I've been in the Army with no family, no loved ones, no nothing, man. Just, it was coming out of my pockets left and right, women, and I'm like, it's time to settle down. So I go to a Wounded Warrior Transition Unit. Oh my God, the Wounded Warrior Transition Unit was an absolute clown show. Like a staff sergeant came up to me, I was like, I'm in charge of you by position, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is all going to start all over again. So I wrote in both of my books about the Wounded Warrior Transition Unit, where I went through a year of out processing. Like I was in an outpatient, inpatient psych unit, and I was with 12 individuals that came out during different times of their story. We were allowed to wear our uniform, but we weren't allowed to wear our rank or our name tag. So when we left, we put that stuff back on, and we only knew everybody by their first names. And I'll just tell you, one of the things I got out of that training was the anger thing, where you had a black marker and a red marker. And they made us stand up every day to explain like what's going through our mind. And most of the people in there were combat orientated, and they would write with red marker for the anger and blood and all that. And eventually through the training, it went to black and red. They would
Hmm.
depict little figures and stuff, and red would be the anger portion or the blood. So the little bullets coming out in red. But then everybody was writing like in black, except for this one girl who was in the Marine Corps. She was a staff sergeant. She never participated in anything except for drawing on the boards, and she would always draw like weird boxes and weird stuff, you know. Good God, man. I'm sitting in my RV, man, sweating to death. Sorry about that. I don't want to drown out the sound there, but
You're good.
anyways, yeah, I get very emotional about this portion right here because like we all thought it was combat, but she finally came out at the end. She's a Marine Corps recruiter for the Marine Corps, hard, high speed, super sexy uniform. Marine Corps women looked so good. She was steel as nails. We were all looking at her breastplate, no combat ribbons, but she had a slew of ribbons. And then she said, I'm here for protective custody because I was brutally raped in my command office by my commander first sergeant. And her husband was in the
Wow.
next room. So
Wow.
that hurt. That hit me hard. That really hit me hard because, like, you know, and I finally, you know, we didn't keep in touch. No one kept in touch. I finally left. The old guard retired me on Halloween. We had our daughter. I got to go back in 2007. Uh, Army, June 14th. Yeah, my daughter born June 14th. June 15th. Yeah, June 15th. So Army's birthday. She was a C-section baby, so I held out so that she'd be born on the Army's birthday. Yeah, that was kind of cool. But
Nice.
I had to go back to Walter Reed. I didn't see my kid for the longest, and I was too messed up on medication and stuff, so I couldn't drive back. I had a vehicle and stuff, but couldn't drive back. And then finally, they let me go back. They let me go back, and the old guard retired me on 31 October 2008. It was the hardest thing for me ever to do, to forget about everything that I had been through. At least I got to hold my daughter during my retirement ceremony. That was cool. I retired with like a 2-star general, 1-star general, 3 colonels. Like the old guard don't retire certain individuals, and I requested it, and I got to see the old guard retire me. And that was really great. So, and then the
Nice.
battle began when I got home. Like
Yeah. Well,
psychiatric nurse treating me,
yeah,
man. So
let's take a quick pause, and before we
yeah,
kind of
man.
get into the next phase of life when you get out, we'll take a quick break and
And I'll make that short. I'll make that real short because like
oh no,
that's.
you're good, man. This is shoot, we got time. So just
I didn't know how
hold on.
long the podcast is, so.
No, whatever, man. We go a hour to hour and a half, whatever, however long
Mhm.
it takes you to tell your story, bro. All right,
All
we'll
right,
take a quick break.
Join us for Hero Stock, a special event dedicated to honoring our veterans and first responders. Experience a day filled with incredible live music performed by those who served and protected our communities. Connect with our nonprofits dedicated to helping our heroes thrive. Discover the services available to support our veterans and first responders in their journey. Bring the whole family. Kids will love the fun activities designed just for them. Reconnect with your community and celebrate the courage and sacrifice of our heroes at Hero Stock. Join us for a day of music, support, and togetherness. Check us out today on www.herostock.org.
All right, and now we are back. All right. So, man, yeah, talk about how retirement life treated you. So, 2008, it's time to call it, and let's talk about how that life treated you.
Yeah, so that whole war began when I got home because my wife was a psychiatric nurse. So I'm drugged up on lithium, Prozac, all different other types of medication. It's basically keeping me zombified. And I'm just going to tell you, like,
These are all
for the first.
prescribed to the VA at
Oh
this
yeah,
time.
yeah. So the first 3 years, I didn't even know who my kid was. I didn't even know if I had a daughter. I
You were
was
just like a
sleeping.
walking zombie, kind of.
Yeah, because like I work for a merchandiser as a cola company. I won't disclose who, but you figure it out. two cola companies, one or the other, major. So I didn't like that job. People telling me what to do and stepping all over me and stuff because like I'm a senior coming out of the military, thinking I'm still a senior. But welcome to the new world,
Right.
and
Yep.
don't know how to write a resume, nothing. Basically get in working with a cola company, and then I was like, forget this. So then I went to Correctional Officers Academy in the state of Pennsylvania to become a correctional officer trainee. Well, I thought that was pretty cool because I graduated the first sergeant of my class because like this guy had military background, which I didn't know they knew, and they all selected him to be the damn first sergeant. So I'm walking out with the T-shirt, knowing that I'm the baddest guy on the planet, into the correctional facility, thinking, guess what, guys? I'm walking on God's planet, And they were like, nope, you got to earn our respect to come in here, even though we're all veterans and stuff. They cut me down off the totem pole quick. And because of my military background, I got to work with Class A inmates, like murderers and killers and crazy people and all that. But guess what? You didn't have nothing to. You couldn't disclose any information to them or talk to any other guards about stuff. You could just go and talk to like the seniors. They didn't care. But knowing the day we do a podcast, they're going to come here and cut the grass, and they haven't cut the grass in a month. How crazy is that? I'll tell you, man. I'm sorry. Ridiculous, man.
I don't even hear it.
But anyways, can you hear it?
No.
Oh, that's good. Maybe because I have it like.
Yeah, maybe just very faint, but I don't hear it actually, so we're good.
I can hear it right through my headphones, man, and my hearing sucks. But anyways, yeah. So I would take that home to my wife and my daughter every night. So I think what caught me was we went to Legoland, and I got this strange phone call from the Navy, from the Navy. And they were like, hey, we saw your resume that you did at Walter Reed, and we saw you did an internship there. You didn't sit around like a bunch of other people did. And I forgot to disclose that. I did an internship at a security firm. And they were like, we would like you to come work as a security specialist. And I'm like, damn, I never thought being an S2 in the Army, that this would come back around because I still got that top secret security clearance. Like I didn't lose it because when I did the internship, they didn't take it away. They tried to, but they didn't. I didn't lose it. So I went right into working with the government with a top secret SCI, and the job required it. And I was there for 16 years, and the battle continued at home. I got divorced. I lost my mom in 2014. I lost my dad in 2017. I went to live with my dad from 14 to 17, and I lost him. And while I was at the command, I started going through some issues and stuff. Got an altercation with a female, and you don't get in altercations with so many females. You don't. But that can end you quick. So they tried to take my security clearance. I won that battle. They don't understand how I was winning that battle, but I didn't have no lawyer. It's just the way you write stuff, the way you present your case. I've had the same psychiatrist since 2008, all the way to wherever I am now, and he's still there. He's got my six, and he's been through the battle. So while I was at the command, I started, like when my dad died, I started writing. It started like soothing me, and I sent a manuscript out to a bunch of friends from my high school, and they're like, hey, this looks really cool. Like you're the dumb skater guy, go join the Army, and you're writing your story. But it was like therapeutic poetry. Like I've collected.
It's crazy too, because you said earlier you never read a book in your life.
Never. Never.
Oh.
Even in Army in Army schools, the only books that I ever read when I was in the first sergeant course. I got to go to the first sergeant course, which I don't understand why, because I was only 7-8 course, but you had to read books there. But I still didn't understand what was going on because most book course tests are open book. You just have to learn how to research, So I didn't consider reading that either. But anyways, the only book I ever wrote was my manuscript. So, and it was hard because I wrote a lot of it on government time. Like while I was at work. Like I was the only one in the office because they were all go away. But I had to disclose this because I got there in 2009, and from 2009 to 2015, I had one director. and she had like 40 years in the government
Mm.
from 2015 to 2023. I had 8 different security directors. 8.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So you could tell when you're at the top, you don't last long. So I'm glad I was the peon GS11, but I was a GS11 for I was a GS11 13. Like I maxed out because like when I got sent home, they maxed me out with my retirement. But anyway, I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But 17, uh, laid. My dad died, so I sat in their empty apartment. But you ever had to get rid of your parents' stuff and find like letters from basic training and old girlfriends that you met in Germany and stuff and see pictures of them, it starts dawning on you. And then I lay out this manuscript of like 168 pages. I don't have a cover yet or anything. I thought I had a cover. It was a picture of me and old Saddam Hussein sitting on a statue. And my friends were like, "Oh, that's cool." And I called the book cover to cover because I had never read a book cover to cover. So, and somebody told me you
Yep. We're losing you. Hold on. Just give him a second before he might come back. All right. Little technical difficulties. All right. We're good.
Okay. So I'm laying out the manuscript, trying to figure out, like, I'm the reader, trying to make people keep going. Because you ever read a book and get bored and be like, I'm done, you know? So I want the audience to, like, keep going. So, and that's what I did. And then this guy, like, came and knocked on the door and he was trying to get a newspaper. And he's like, well, heard your dad was a 2-time Korean War veteran. We'd like to do an interview on you. And I'm like, man, my dad had never just. My dad was an alcoholic, man. I can't believe I even stayed with this guy because like he didn't have nobody, you know. So I disclosed what I could about the Korean War, him being in Pork Chop Hill, which is probably one of the worst places in Korean War, Pork Chop Hill, if you know your history. And he was an infantry guy. He used to tell me he was a cook,
Mm.
and then finally he disclosed that he was an infantry guy. 2 tours in Korea, and they took some pictures of me, and I'm like, what are you taking pictures of me for, you know? So they took pictures of me and they asked me what I was doing. So I'm writing a book. So they did a story on that. Hometown kid writes a book about military career. You know, what do you call it? Cover to cover, and then the guy took some pictures and they sent them to me and they were like, look, we're going to use these in the article. And I'm like, yeah, like this picture of me standing in this hallway. It looks like I'm going to like to the light where my dad is. And I started thinking like people have 2 different sides, like a mirror. So I told my friends from high school, how about the mirror? And they were like, bam, there's a light bulb right there, dude. The book called The Mirror. So The Mirror was born. And then I went under a publishing company. I won't name who they are because they were terrible. If you read my first book, when it first came out, it's on Google. You can read it. You can see who published it. I won't say Book Venture. They're no longer here, but they took me for a $3,000 contract. Didn't give me no royalties. So um, yeah,
Mm.
and 2018, the book came out. It was supposed to come out on Christmas 2017, but they failed. They pushed it, and I wanted to come out for people that were struggling. This is the first time that I was more involved with veterans and stuff, and um, the journey continued. So the book came out. A lot of people from the command bought it, um, and then the worst thing ever came was the last security director. He was a lieutenant in our command in 2016. And then out of like 160 people worldwide, this idiot got selected to be our boss. And a lot of
Mm.
people didn't want this guy to be our boss. And then, like, you know, I was like, okay, this guy's going to hold a vendetta against me. I built a whole access control program ever since I've been there. No one ever taught me anything. I went to the advanced course. I went to the advanced course before I went to the basic course. It was crazy
Mm.
because like I had to be school trained for certain things, but I never was smart enough to be actually certified as a security specialist. So they held that against me, and I got interviewed for jobs. My resume was stellar because I had people that were in the command help me. It's all about networking. Networking is the key to your success.
Right.
So basically, um, we're at what 2021. Yeah. So maybe 2022, this guy came on board, and I didn't agree with any. I didn't agree with policy. You know, I'm here granting security clearance, and he's telling me, you know, hey, this person, in accordance with your 13 adjudication guidelines, he doesn't fit. but we're still going to let him go. And I'm like, no, we're not. That's not my job. I don't get paid enough to do that. So you do your job. I'll do my job. I'll submit it to you and you can submit it for approval. I'm not putting my name on that. So basically, I did not agree with policy. I got an altercation with a female and gave her that I want to kill you look. I didn't say anything. Just gave her that stare, that stare that people think that you're crazy because you have PTSD. Because I disclosed it to the HR, and a couple weeks later, the whole HR
Used
told
against you.
everybody that I had. Yeah, oh yeah, they gifted me well because like they told everybody that I had mental problems. But now that we're on the podcast, I'm definitely going to call it out. But not where I was working. But it's funny because they want to fire me or let me go because I'm on psychiatric meds. But when I do security checks in the building, right? I go to executive's office to check and make sure stuff's secure, and they have pill bottles on their desk that I have to take mandatory pills during the day because they've got some stuff
Mhm.
going on in their life. So it's funny because I didn't take my pills. I only took my pills at home before and after work, but they want to terminate me. So long story short, I disclosed to EEO that I couldn't work with my boss no more. I felt like I was a threat. So for 2 years, I worked by myself as the access control during COVID. Um, yeah, so he came in 2020, I believe. Yeah, COVID was what, 2022, 21,
2020.
22.
2020.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever COVID was, um, I was there by myself in command. I was like the access control guy, and I thought maybe asking for a promotion and stuff that would be great. Um, they sent me home for 3 months because I said that I couldn't work with the guy. Basically, they came in the office and escorted me out with 8 police officers. So
Mm.
I was like, hey, I really don't want to go down the main hallway. Let's take me out the side. And I didn't even know there was 8. There was like 3 in the office, and they're like, leave your laptop, give up your CAC. And I'm like, all for telling EEO or that I can't work with this guy? Well, we see you as a threat. Okay, see me as a threat. But prior to that, I was already doing like my disability retirement because my friends were feeding me. They're like, dude, you're on thin ice, man. You need to start like, and I would go in at night and print out my paperwork and make sure everything and send it all home to my computer and make sure. So I had all the documents, so I didn't have to come back. So they took my computer, they took my CAC, they sent me home for 3 months. And after 3 months, while I'm building this packet, I'm interacting with the HR from whatever branch I was at, and actually everything was signed, sealed, delivered while before I got the termination. So they couldn't even bring me into the office. They thought I was a threat. They emailed me and said I was fired. Yep, they fired me over an email, and so
How
I filed
professional.
my disability retirement April 28th, leap year, right? 28th, yeah, 28th. They fired me on the 23rd. In August, they reached out to me. I sat down online with a lady from Hawaii. She was teleworking. Everything was approved. I aired my stuff overnight, specially stamped and all this certified, everything. I put everything together like as a security specialist. They said it was probably the neatest professional package they ever got. It was tabbed and everything. I did everything myself. And I had my friends that I did the internship with, they're like GS 15s or 14s or freaking senior executive services. And they told me how everything should be. I didn't ask for one thing from my command. Then no one helped me. No one did anything. No one asked me how my family was, how my daughter was, what I was going through. I just disclosed all this the whole time while I was at the command to my psychiatrist. And he wrote this huge medical letter. And I believe that letter that he wrote got me approved for my disability retirement because, like, in August, I got a letter saying that of 12% people in the DOD, when you file a disability retirement, most of them are disapproved because of the
Mm.
way you write them up. And I
Mhm.
was one of the 12%. My
Wordsmithing.
stuff got approved, and I was blown away that it got approved. So I'm getting 100%. I didn't get 100% until 2022. I get my military retirement, which paying child support, I didn't really get in all of that. And then I got my disability retirement, and I was living off of that. And I was like, okay, I think I got the last laugh. So in May 4th, 2024, people were telling me, hey, you should write a second book about you and your daughter, this broken bond that you have with your kid, you know? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to write The Broken Mirror because I wanted, in the first book, I wanted to put a bunch of broken mirrors in there, but I was like, nope, didn't do that. So the new book, The Broken Mirror, I can't write. There you go. Can't write because tremors, long-term medication use. That's how I got 100%. I disclosed that long-term medication use causes tremors, and I beat tremors now. I don't have one tremor no more because of the natural stuff I'm on, like
Nice.
Shilajit, turmeric, elderberries. But I still take my Prozac because you know when you're 100%, you still got to go to your little doctor's appointments and all that. But they're
Sure.
telling me that my medical records, like my medical numbers, are better than a 34-year-old. Blood, all that. I still have high blood pressure, but like my labs and all that. So it's pretty cool. So I called out the government. Both of my books have been approved by the Pentagon. Both of my books have been reviewed by the U.S. Book Review, and I had to apologize to my daughter somehow. So I dedicated the second book to my daughter. And I think if anyone out there that's going through their shit, through the shit, mental health, disability, freaking sitting on the couch, I always say, get your ass off the couch, get out and walk. That's what I did. My second book was written on my iPhone. I talked to my notes when I went around house cleaning and stuff. Um, and the book came out. I sent it to a guy who had done a story on my family in 2008, and he finally disclosed when he started editing my book in 2024. This guy's like 75 years old, major
Mhm.
health issues. He's editing. His wife has a heart attack or some crap, and he tells me that he can't edit it no more. But he spent 80 hours on the new book.
Wow.
He was very touched with the PTSD stuff in there because like there's resume writing in there about how people get out of the military to high rank don't know how to write resumes. It's how you write the resume. You can't get out and say you're a platoon sergeant because no one cares you're a platoon sergeant or first sergeant. They don't even care if you are a private. They don't care what awards you. People say, "Oh, you're going to put your award." No, you don't. I have
Right.
interacted with so many HRs from different commands, and my buddy was an HR guy. The guy actually did the preface to my new book, and he's actually a punk rock singer at night. I won't call him out here, but I asked him to write the preface to my new book. My second security director, before the idiot came on board, he helped me through my divorce and everything. He wrote the foreword to my new book. Um, I talked him out leaving his job to go to the Army Command to work because I told him, look at your 5 year plan. Even though I'm not going nowhere, look at your 5 year plan. You're a 14 now. You're never going to get 15 here. So now he's briefing like 4-star generals and all kinds of dignitaries around the world. And he's only 10 minutes from his house now. So I talked
Nice.
him in to go in there, and he has been with me the whole journey. He has been with me. He believes in me, what I'm doing. Um, so, like I said, the new book talks about the mental journey, the transition from people going from the transition military to the civilian world, because it's not a cakewalk. It really not. There's a lot of people out there suffering, and I hope that if one person can read either book, they get something out of it. I've accomplished my mission. And like I said, I don't get the royalties. They go to a private account for my kid when I'm not here. And all I would say is there's a lot of people struggling. And I just hope that someone picks up the new book. I've heard a lot of people are picking up the new book and they're completely blown away. I've made friends that are hard as nails cry looking at the new book, telling me they call me Steve-O, and they tell me that it's an amazing book. And I wrote no chapters, all entries, so you can open whatever entry you want. Um, been down the shit road with the publisher again. They screwed me on my second book coming out on Halloween because that's my retirement date from the Army. So now I'm branded under myself on Amazon and Kindle. This is the new cover of the new first book. And then the second book, I rebranded myself and they're on Kindle. I don't sell a lot of them, but I also bought author copies and gave out signed autograph copies. Like I don't write anything in the books no more. It takes too much time. So I use a silver marker to write on the back and put a little Chinese guy on the back with a little goofy hat. So there's a lot of people that reach out to me. I have my own platform, 1821 productions that you see in the videos. That's my shield. My daughter told me I should have a shield because I'm the protector. So I interact with veterans, network with veterans, first responders. I'm out. I sold my house for 300 some $1,000s. I live in my RV. I'm in my own podcast studio right now that I'm building. I have done this whole thing. Didn't buy a super expensive RV, 28,000. I've redone everything inside myself. Don't take anyone for granted. They'll screw you over while you're out. So my plan is to go around all the 50 states, go to Alaska in 2 years, maybe settle down. But like we talked in the front, I don't pay no property tax. I don't pay no mortgage. All I do is give a kid money every day who wants to think money grows on trees. But my kid is a professional in her own sport, two-time world champ, and I'm here to the end with that kid.
Nice.
And that's the journey, man. So, and I've been interacting with veterans, first responders. Hell, I've even got people giving me challenge coins. I didn't think I would get one challenge coin while I was out here on the road, but Florida is the first place I'm at. So now I got all the other different states. I have people asking me to come do podcasts, and you know what? Like I only have like 200 followers on my 1821 platform, but that's better than a million because I don't have to hire like an admin person to go through all my mail and stuff. So
Oh,
interacting,
yeah.
and you know what? If I can talk to you, text you, inspire you in some way, then I've done my job. I've
Yeah.
already done my job here in Florida, but it's not about turning stones over and finding veterans or people with trauma. It's the interaction, like going out to the mall or going to a store. And I carry that is my business card that you have, that you showed, because it has the QR code on the back for my 1821 platform. If I just interact with somebody or they say, "Hey, are you a veteran?" That's a cool goatee, and we start talking and stuff. Like this guy, I did a video. He was a Marine recon guy. You know how hardcore those guys are.
Right.
Marine recon, 20 years. And then he did 20 years as a, was it, police captain in Miami. And now he's a firearm expert. I
Wow.
met him here at the campground. Him and his wife bought my book on the spot in front of me while we were talking. And I
That's
played
outstanding.
audio clips from my first book for his wife. His wife does like she's a sergeant in the Miami Police Department under like domestic psychology stuff,
Okay.
domestic abuse and stuff like that. She absolutely was in tears when I played my audio versions for her because I am now working the audio piece for The Mirror and The Broken Mirror. And hopefully, when this airs, both of those books will be out because there's a lot of people that can't read and won't read, so they'll listen to audio. So that's what I'm doing. I spent all the money out of my pocket to do audio, and I don't think anyone could do the audio better than myself. And I
That's
disclose, I
right.
have a disclaimer saying that if I'm itchy with words, that's because I have PTSD, and I would not have someone professional read my story because I'm the only one that can tell my story. So that's my story, bro.
Hell yeah. Well, let's play a quick video about the books.
What if the mirror was more than it was meant to be? I found myself sitting in my first combat deployment at only 19 years old. Years later, forged from war and severe PTSD, I find myself sitting here looking into this broken mirror, trying to figure out where this broken relationship is going with me and my teenage daughter. Am I at my final reset? Where is this journey going to take me?
Outstanding.
Cool, man.
Man, I imagine those books can definitely help a lot of guys getting out, and there's just so much that I think that the younger, military veterans, the younger warriors can learn from us now because we have platforms like this to where it's a lot easier to get it out there. And that's why it's great to try to capture as many stories as we can, many experiences as we can, put books out there, all kinds of things. So that way we can help the younger generation be stronger warriors all together, right? Mentally, physically, and realize don't allow so much time to go by before you fix your problem, because you can ruin a lot of things in between that time. And then sometimes when you get to the end and you realize all that, some of that shit can never be undone, and some of those bridges can never be fixed ever again. So I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you not only being transparent with your life and putting it out there for the rest of everybody to learn from, but just being a voice for other veterans out there who don't want to
I
talk.
try, man. I try. I just say I didn't say this that the new book, The Broken Mirror, is kind of. You ever heard that you have a mental toolbox? So it is
Yeah,
a tool to be added to your mental toolbox
right.
because like
Yep.
there's coping mechanisms in there. There's like I said, resume writing. There's a bunch of broken mirrors in there that I designed from AI. So like they say, when you design something from AI, it never can be created again. So these are my broken mirrors that I travel through looking for my mirror people. And you turn the page in a book and you look at it, you say, what is this broken mirror that says fragile? Or this broken mirror that says mirror, mirror on the wall? There's an image in there. And I want you to go back and reflect if you ever felt like that. And that's why there's just pages with mirrors in them. And I believe that everybody is fragile. And in the end, I believe that everybody will come upon some type of traumatic event, and that's why there's people like you, there's people like me that are here to be coach, teach, and mentors. That's what I'm here for. And I call this stage in my life, just like an entry I put in my book, the final reset. Because this is it for me, man. Even though I'm 55, my mom died at 62, my dad died at 84. I'm hoping that somewhere between that time I'm gone, or after I live 84 and I'm still doing what I'm doing today, man. Because this is what I'm doing right here. Me, the cat, and the dog. That's it.
Love it, brother. Well, I love your journey, man, and I appreciate you, William, for coming on, bro. It's like I said, not everybody feels comfortable about talking about their experiences and what they've done, but like I said, it's instrumental, and these are, once again, like you said, giving brothers and sisters tools, and not every tool is going to fit for every job, right? And not every tool may work, but at least you have it there, right? And it's there, and it's another way to try, or another way to try to fix your problem. But is there any last words that you like to say before we head out, or anything else that you may have forgot?
Well, if anybody believes in me, go to 1821 Productions on Facebook. You can like, share. You can be following me. I don't care if you follow me or not, but I'm there. I try to go live some certain nights, and I believe in the message that I'm putting out to people. I actually have sundry kits, mini sleeping bags, all that stuff in my RV underneath. That when I get a chance to get out, because I don't have a vehicle, so when I get to like maybe Tampa, not Tampa, but wherever, wherever I'm at in
Fort
Florida,
Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. That's it. Yeah, sorry, the brain part. I go there. I'm going to be able to go down into the cities because, like, I'm about maybe 30 miles from Orlando here, so I'm not going to go to Orlando. But for Christmas, me and my daughter are actually going to get together, and we're going to go to Disney, and that'll be great because I've never been to Disney ever. Maybe when she was 4 years old, this will be the second time I ever go to Disney. So, but
Wow.
yeah, the
Awesome.
platform is out there. It's for mental health. Anyone going through it, follow me. Like, I'm here, and I go by the voice of the voiceless because I'm an open book and I'm not afraid to speak the piece. So there's a lot
Hell
of
yeah.
people out there lying to you. So.
Damn right. Well, we need a lot of more people like you, but I appreciate you once again, brother. Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you once again for the service you're still providing for our brothers and sisters out there. And man, anytime you ever want to come back on, talk about more stuff, there's always a open seat here. And always reach out if you need me as well. And if you're here in California, if you ever make it out this way, I
Oh,
know
I'm coming out there. I'm
then
coming
damn,
out there. It's gonna take me a while.
you better hit me up once you get out here though, so we can grab a
Well,
coffee or
I hope
something.
our friendship stays, man. And
Hell yeah,
interacting with other
absolutely.
podcasts and stuff. So, man, because like I said, it's all about networking. Because like if this interview went bad, you'd be like, well, you ain't gonna be doing that anywhere else.
And feel free,
But
brother. I have my Facebook group, Everyday Saturday group, please feel free to put your books out there, and I love when I see people make sales in my shit, or there's some kind of interaction. There's been books sold there. There's been coffee sold there. So
it's not even about the sales. It's the message. It's the
no,
message. You can go on Kindle and sample the books. And if you think it's a
100%.
good read for you, and be my guest. Like, I'm not here to tell you, oh, I'm going to be world author, best-selling author. I'm not looking for that. It's the message.
I get
It's
you.
all
Hell
about
yeah.
the message, the mental health message, because a lot of people don't think about mental health awareness.
Nope, and we got to talk about it. Talk about
man.
something that's uncomfortable to talk about. But all right, brother. Well, once again, William, thank you so much, brother. And you just hold tight. I'll be right back there with you in a second. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for your service and commitment.
All right, friends and fam. That's going to knock out another great interview. Go give William Stevens a follow on Facebook. Go check out his books. Once again, there's the 2 different books he's got out there. We got The Broken Mirror and The Mirror 2nd edition. Make sure you go grab yourself a copy. And not only that, make sure you leave a review. Authors definitely love it when you read their books, to leave them a review. Good or bad, they would love to hear from you in terms of what about. I'm sure they like to hear more about the good stuff than the bad stuff, though. But anyways, I hope you guys are all having an amazing day out there. Also, if you guys haven't had a chance to go check out the new segment I put out there, it's Coffee Talk with Brian, and that's where I kind of talk to you guys on myself. You guys get to know me a little bit more, talk about a lot of the different things that I've experienced being on the podcast show with all the different guests I've had. We cover mental health. We have funny stories. We're going to have some inspirational stories, all kinds of stuff. But go check it out. And you know how we say on here, don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. Until next time, we'll see you guys.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.